Today, we're really getting into something I know is a big hurdle for so many people learning English. Mastering those listening skills. We've spent a lot of time with this comprehensive guide, Speak Easy English.
Yeah, it's quite detailed.
And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to pull out the absolute key things, maybe some surprising stuff even, that can genuinely help you speed up your listening progress.
Right.
Because you know that feeling, don't you?
Yeah.
Where you can read English, no problem, but then someone hits you with a quick, we should do it, and poof, you're lost.
Completely. Or you get comfortable with, say, an American accent, and then a British one just throws you for a loop.
Exactly.
Well, if you've ever felt like that, seriously, you are not alone. It's probably the most common frustration.
I believe it.
And what's really key, and the guide makes a big point of this, is that listening isn't just one skill among others. It's the foundation, the absolute input.
Before anything else.
Yeah. Think about babies learning their first language. They just listen for months, soaking it all in long before they say a word or read anything.
That makes sense.
And the cool thing is, get better at listening, and you actually boost your speaking, your vocabulary gets bigger, even your pronunciation improves. It's all connected.
So it's not isolated.
Not at all. The guide puts it really simply. Listening is the input. Speaking is the output. Makes sense, right? If the input isn't great or isn't consistent, the output is always going to be limited.
Okay. Good input, good output.
Pretty much. So today we're going to dig into why it's so vital, look at the common problems, the things that trip people up, then walk through a solid step-by-step plan to get better, point you to some useful tools, and even lay out a little 7-day challenge to kickstart things.
Okay, great. So let's start with that core idea. Listening is the bedrock. Why is it so fundamental?
Well, the source really stresses it's not passive. You're not just letting sound wash over you.
Right.
It's an active mental process. It actually rewires your brain, basically. When you listen to real English podcasts, movies, chats, you're absorbing the language as it's actually used.
Not textbook English.
Exactly. You get the natural grammar, the way sounds change in real speech, the slang, the idioms, stuff that textbooks often miss or simplify.
Like your example, I am going to the store.
Yeah.
You almost never hear it spoken that clearly.
Right. You hear, I'm going to go, or I'm going to the store. That squishing together of sounds, that connected speech,
Yeah?
that can be a huge barrier if your ear isn't trained for it.
Yeah.
You're listening for separate words that just aren't pronounced separately.
That's a really good point. Your brain is looking for breaks that aren't there.
Precisely. And that leads straight into the common problems the guide highlights. That feeling of native speakers talk too fast. It's probably the #1 complaint.
Yeah, everyone says that.
But it's often not just raw speed. It's that connected speech we mentioned, words linking, sounds changing or disappearing, contractions like don't or can't, plus the rhythm, the melody of the language.
Intonation.
Intonation, exactly. What are you doing becomes what you're doing. It almost sounds like one mashed up word if you're not expecting it.
Right. You're trying to decode it word by word, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't. And then, like you mentioned earlier, there's the whole world of accents. English isn't just one thing.
Oh, yeah. Huge variation.
You got British, English, American, Australian, Indian, Scottish. I mean, the list goes on. Each has its own music, its own vowel sounds sometimes.
So you might ace American sitcoms, but then a BBC drama is like, whoa.
Totally normal. The guide stresses that. It's just about exposing your ear gradually, training it to pick up different patterns. It's a skill you build, not something you either have or don't.
Okay, that's encouraging. What else trips learners up?
Another big one, surprisingly, is trying too hard to understand every single word.
Really? That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but think about it. Even in your native language, do you catch every single word someone says, especially if they're talking fast or there's background noise?
Probably not, no. I get the gist.
Exactly. You focus on the main idea, the key information. Getting stuck on one word you don't know can make you miss the next whole sentence. The guide says focus on the overall meaning first.
Okay, focus on the gist. Makes sense.
Then there's finding the right material. That can be frustrating. Beginner stuff feels too slow, maybe boring.
Yeah, really artificial sometimes.
Right. But then native level stuff feels like jumping into the deep end, way too overwhelming. So people get discouraged and just stop.
That just right level is hard to find.
It can be. And the final big barrier, inconsistency. Listening practice once a week or cramming before a test. It just doesn't cut it.
Not enough to build those brain pathways.
Nope. You need regular, consistent exposure, even short bursts, but frequently. Repetition is key.
Okay, so we've got the problems. Speed and connected speech, accents, trying to catch every word, finding the right material, and not practicing enough. So what's the plan? How do we actually improve?
Right. The guide lays out a really practical step-by-step approach. And it works whether you're starting out or trying to break through that intermediate plateau.
Good. Step 1.
Step 1, choose the right material for you. This is critical. Find something that's just a little bit challenging. You should understand most of it, maybe 70, 80%, but not everything.
So it stretches you, but doesn't drown you.
Exactly. And, crucially, pick topics you actually like.
Enjoyment matters.
Hugely. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you're into tech, find tech podcasts. If you like mysteries, listen to true crime.
Why is that so important? Just motivation.
It's motivation, yeah, but the guide suggests it's more than that. When you enjoy something, your brain is actually more receptive to learning. It links the new language to positive feelings, which helps you retain it better.
Okay, so find slightly challenging stuff you genuinely enjoy. Got it. Step 2.
Step 2, start slow, then speed up. If you're less confident, begin with materials made for learners' slower speech, clearer pronunciation.
Like specific podcasts or apps?
Exactly. Then, as you get comfortable, gradually move to normal speed content. And don't forget the secret weapon, YouTube's playback speed settings.
Oh yeah. You can slow things down just a bit.
Or speed them up slightly as you improve. It lets you fine-tune the difficulty perfectly. It's about hitting that sweet spot of comprehensible input. You understand enough to learn, but you're still being pushed.
Smart. Okay, step 3. This one sounds tricky. Subtitles.
Yes, subtitles. The guide has a very clear take here. Step 3 is using English subtitles strategically.
English ones.
Yes, only English ones. Here's the method. Watch a short clip once with the English subtitles to make sure you understand the meaning, maybe catch new words.
Okay.
Then immediately watch the exact same clip again, but this time without any subtitles.
Okay. So you get the meaning first, then focus purely on the sound.
Precisely. And the crucial part, never use subtitles in your own native language for listening practice.
Why not? It feels helpful sometimes.
It feels helpful, but it actually stops your listening development. Your brain just reads the translation and doesn't bother decoding the English sounds. It's like you said earlier, trying to learn to run by always using a bike with training wheels. You never actually run.
Gotcha. English subtitles sparingly, then none. Step 4.
Step 4 is a really powerful technique called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah. It means listening to a short phrase or sentence and then immediately repeating it aloud, trying to mimic the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as closely as possible, almost like you're their echo.
So not just repeating, but mimicking the sound.
Exactly. You're trying to match everything, the speed, the melody, the linked sounds. It's amazing for both listening and speaking because it connects what you hear directly to how you produce the sound.
Okay, shadowing. Sounds intense, but effective. Step 5.
Step 5, dictation practice.
Like in school. Writing down what you hear.
Sort of, yeah. Listen to a very short audio clip, maybe just 10 or 20 seconds. Write down word for word what you think you hear. Then check your written version against the actual transcript or subtitles. This forces your brain to pay super close attention to the details, distinguishing similar sounds, catching those little words, noticing how words blend together.
I can see how that would really train your ear for detail.
It really does. And finally, step 6, make listening a daily habit.
Consistency again.
Absolutely. Even just 10 or 15 minutes every day makes a huge difference over time. Weave it into your life. Listen while you're commuting, doing chores, cooking dinner, taking a walk.
Find those pockets of time.
Yeah. And this brings up an important distinction the guide makes. Active versus passive listening.
Okay, what's the difference?
Passive listening is when English audio is just on in the background, maybe music with lyrics, a podcast while you're working, a TV show while you're tidying up. Your main focus isn't on the listening itself.
So you're just kind of absorbing the sound.
Exactly. You're getting used to the rhythm, the flow, the general soundscape of English. It helps reduce that feeling of the language being alien or overwhelming. It builds familiarity.
Okay. And active listening.
Active listening is when you are 100% focused. You're probably wearing headphones. You might pause, rewind, repeat sections. Maybe you're doing that dictation practice or shadowing or taking notes. It's concentrated effort.
A real workout for the ears.
Definitely. And the key takeaway from the guide is that you really need both.
Both? Why?
Passive listening gives you that constant, low-effort exposure, building intuition and comfort. Active listening is where you make targeted improvements, really sharpening your comprehension of details.
So passive for background familiarity, active for focused skill building.
You got it. Mix them both into your routine. Use passive listening during daily tasks, and set aside dedicated time, even if it's short, for active listening sessions.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, we have the plan. What about resources? Where can people find good material, especially that just right level stuff?
Right. The guide recommends a bunch of great resources. For podcasts specifically aimed at learners, they mention The English We Speak from the BBC, great for short, everyday phrases.
Oh, I know that one. It's very short chunks.
Yeah, perfect for quick practice. Also, ESL Pod, which is known for speaking quite slowly and clearly, and All Ears English, which is more conversational, focusing on real-life American English and culture.
Good variety there. What about YouTube?
Loads on YouTube. English Class 101 has lots of structured lessons.
Yeah.
BBC Learning English, again, very high quality.
They're everywhere.
They do good work. Speak English with Mr. Duncan is often mentioned as being really engaging and fun. And VOA Learning English, Voice of America, they have news stories read at a slower pace, which is excellent practice.
Okay, great list. And for people who prefer learning through entertainment, TV shows, movies.
Absolutely. The guide suggests popular sitcoms like Friends or Modern Family. The dialogue is usually pretty clear, conversational, often repetitive, which helps.
Right. Lots of everyday situation.
Exactly. Maybe something like Stranger Things, if you like that genre. And if you want to tune your ear to British English, something like The Crown is fantastic, though the accents are quite specific. More received pronunciation.
Okay. Any specific tips for using shows?
Yeah, a really smart tip from the guide is to re-watch movies or TV series that you already know well in your own language.
Ah, so you already know the plot.
Right. You know the characters, what's happening. That frees up your mental energy. You're not struggling to follow the story and the language. You can just focus on listening to how things are said in English.
That's a brilliant idea. Reduces the cognitive load.
Massively. Makes it much less intimidating.
So loads of resources.
Yeah.
But what about practicing in real life? What if you don't live where English is spoken daily?
That's a common issue, but the guide has practical tips for that too. Beyond the simple things like changing your phone or computer language to English,
Which is a good start.
definitely a good start, you can consciously bring English into your hobbies. Follow YouTubers or bloggers in English who talk about things you're interested in, gardening, gaming, whatever it is.
Immerse yourself in your interests, but in English.
Exactly. And one technique I really like from the guide is to start thinking in English. Narrate your own actions in your head.
Like talking to yourself silently.
Yeah. Okay, I'm making coffee now. Need to get the milk. Or, that smells good. Hope I don't burn the toast. Simple stuff. It gets your brain working in English patterns without pressure.
That sounds doable.
Yeah.
Any other real-world practice ideas?
Sure. You can use AI tools now, like talking to ChatGPT or Google Assistant in English. There are language exchange apps to find partners to chat with online. And even just recording yourself speaking English, maybe reading something aloud and then listening back.
Oh, listening to yourself. That sounds painful, but probably useful.
It can be a bit cringy at first, but it's incredibly useful for catching your own pronunciation habits or fluency hiccups.
Okay, so lots of ways to practice even without native speakers around you.
Definitely. It's about creating your own immersion bubble.
So pulling all this together, what's the big picture message here?
The absolute core message, the most important thing to remember from the guide, is that listening is a skill. It's not some magic talent you're born with or without.
It's like learning piano or learning to swim.
Exactly like that. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger with practice. Consistent, focused practice.
And that 7-day challenge you mentioned.
Right. The guide includes a sample 7-day challenge. It's not about suddenly becoming fluent in a week, obviously.
No miracle.
No miracles. It's about building the habit of daily listening. It might suggest, say, 10 minutes of an active listening podcast on Monday, 15 minutes of passive listening while commuting Tuesday, shadowing practice Wednesday, dictation Thursday. Just short, manageable chunks each day.
Just to get you started and show that consistency pays off.
Precisely. Doing that consistently, even for just 10-15 minutes a day, you will notice a difference relatively quickly. It builds momentum and confidence. The more you listen, the more natural it feels, the easier it gets.
Okay, that's a really positive takeaway.
Okay.
It's achievable with consistent effort.
Absolutely. Consistency trumps intensity every time when it comes to language learning.
So thinking about our listener now, what does all this really mean for you as you continue your English journey? This guide, this deep dive, it's really an invitation, isn't it?
It is.
An invitation to change how you think about listening. Keep those headphones or earbuds handy. Stay curious. Don't just passively hear, but actively try to enjoy the process. Enjoy figuring out this puzzle of sound.
Embrace the challenge.
Yeah. Imagine, really picture it. Confidently understanding a fast-paced conversation, catching the jokes, getting all the information without constantly asking what. Think about the doors that open socially, professionally, personally.
It's a huge difference.
That's your challenge, really. To move beyond just hearing the noise and to truly start listening to the world in English.